Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are located at. I would like to thank you for joining our session for setting up your EPLAN environment for working from home. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for investing the time to attend this session. In this session, we will show you your available options where you can set up your environment to work from your home and still connect to your work environment. Okay. So please be mindful that all the advices and information that we're providing here are only to help you. It's not going to override your IT policies or um, uh, override your instructions that you get from your company. Please make sure that you check with your supervisor and your IT department before following any of those options or doing any changes. Also, I'd like to point out that although that there are multiple options, the, the most recommended option is to use the Citrix environment or remote desktop connection when you are working remotely where is possible, as that's the most solid connection when working remotely. Okay, so we have multiple scenarios when we try to work remotely. For the first case, where you cannot take your work computer to your home, and the second case is when you can take your computer home. And we'll discuss each one of those in the next slides. So when you cannot take your computer home, there are two cases. One is when you can work through a VNC remote access, and that's if you have single user license or network license. And the second case is you have a Citrix terminal server with a network license. Okay. So now, when you have a single user license or a network license and you want to work on VNC, look at this slide on your right hand side. You'll see your computer at home, and this computer should have one of the VNC software like TeamViewer, Skype, WebEx, or AnyDesk. On the other hand, on the left hand side, you have your setup at the company, the license, and the data all are set up in the computer company. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a USB dongle license or virtual dongle. It's all going to reside at the PC at your office, and you're just going to remotely graphically control your PC from home. Projects and database resides in the company PC. You don't have to synchronize. You don't have to change your workflows. Everything remains the same. All you have to do is to set up your VNC. So what do we need to implement this setup? First thing is a good internet connection, so you don't face any latencies when you with your mouse and keyboard. And then it became a very difficult to work that way. So make sure that both sides have a good internet connection. Use a remote connection application, VNC software. That's the software that you're going to use to control your computer remotely. Now, there are some situation where the VNC software require to be configured so that you can start your or wake up your PC at work when you log into your VNC software. So for this configuration, you should be in the office to activate or enable the work PC to accept these incoming requests when you are remote. So the first time you work or you want to try this, you have to set it up, make sure it's working properly before you go back to your home and start this way to control your remote computer. Well, so one note that you should write down here is there is a remote desktop connection and VNC, and those are two different solutions. A remote desktop is integrated with the Windows, and when you try to use a remote desktop, if you are using a single user license, then EPLAN will trigger this error because it will think that you're using the same license on a different computer, and this can violate the license agreement. While with VNC, it's a third-party software, and that software is just bringing the the screen that you have on the in your computer office in the computer in the office locally to your home, and you are controlling it that way. So it's two different solutions, and unfortunately, remote desktop is not available for you if you have a single user license. Okay. Second option is a network license with a Citrix environment or terminal server. In this case, you have another computer at home, and that's on the right hand side. And on the left hand side is your setup at the company or your corporate. So if you are using Citrix, you just have to configure your home PC to do the installation, and then you can just sign in normally and work normally, just as if you are working at the office. There's no differences here. You don't have to do any synchronization or any changes. The Citrix environment will give you all the necessary tools to connect to your work environment. But if you are using a remote desktop connection, Microsoft Terminal Server, in that case, you are going to need a VPN connection. That VPN connection will uh, allow you to find your the desktop at the corporate or at the office, and then log in to that computer. And then once you log in, you have the interface that you have at the company will be available for you at your home PC, and you can work normally without doing any synchronization or any changes. So what do we need to implement this? Um, a VPN client should be configured on your home computer. Uh, the remote desktop server should be up and running. If it's a Citrix or Microsoft Terminal server, of course, they should be up and running in order to access them. If you are using SQL Server for parts, translation, or project management, then the SQL Server also should be up and running, and the EPLAN license server as well should be up and running, because that's how you obtain the EPLAN license. Of course, if you need more help, EPLAN offer consultation services, and we are available for you here. Of course, during this hard time, we have expanded our resources, and we try to make more resources available for you, so you can like make things easier for you guys. Of course, if you are using Pro Panel for Pro Panel users, then in that case, um, a certified graphic card is needed, because the Pro Panel uses more resources, so you need more powerful graphic card. Okay. The second case, you can take your computer home. And in this situation, we have two options where you have use a single user license or you have a network license. In both cases, you are going to need a VPN to access the data and projects. First, we'll discuss a single user license scenario. So you took your computer home. You have the setup already on your computer. Of course, since it's a single user license, you will have to obtain your license with you in case it's a USB dongle. If it's a virtual dongle or a dongle less, then it's already embedded digitally in the computer. Now, a VPN connection is needed, so you can connect to your SQL or the data server if you are using that setup currently in your company. So if you are using a data server, then you don't need a VPN. If you're having everything stored locally, then you will not need a VPN. It's just that you're taking the whole thing with you. You're taking your computer along with the license and with all the data and all the projects along with it. Now, most cases and most users will have a centralized data and a centralized SQL server. So in that case, you'll have to maintain a good VPN connection. Now, if your VPN connection is not solid. There are some steps that you have to go through in order to optimize your connection and optimize your experience. First, you can disable online translation and autocomplete and autocorrect, because that takes some space in the bandwidth, and it's not really important to have it, so you can disable that. If that didn't help, you can try to back up your project to your computer, and then you restore it locally on your local computer from the data server, and then work on it locally. In that case, the amount of data back and forth between your local computer and the server will be less, so it's going to be a better experience. Also, what you can do is you can copy all the data, the master data that you have on your server, locally to your computer, and then set up EPLAN to work with all the data locally. That's this is like a more, there is more details and an explanation about this step. We have a file that we can share afterward. You can see how you can do that. Now keep in mind that when you are copying your data, this is a temporary solution. This needs to be reverted back to its original setting once you're done. And if you are a super user and you add data to your master data, then keep in mind that you will either need to synchronize the original data of your company with the new data, or just add the new created parts or forms or whatever type of data you have created to sync them back to your original master data. You will also need to stay connected with the SQL server. If you are using SQL server for data, like parts or management or translation, in that case, if it's hard and if the VPN connection is not reliable, you can also back up your SQL server and use it locally temporarily. And also, those instructions are available in a document that we can share with you to see what's the steps that you need to be done. And if you need more help, of course, always you can come back to us and give us a call or put a ticket in our EPLAN Solutions Center or send an email. As I said, we have increased our resources to help all our customers now. So what do we need to implement this setup? The company computer that you normally use, but you have to configure VPN, as you might not use a VPN if you are in your computer, and if you are with your computer in the company, you might not need using a VPN at that situation in normal cases. So this is a new circumstance where you need to configure a VPN client so you can connect remotely to your company network. SQL server should be up and running if you are using SQL for data, for parts at least. The data server, file server, of course, should be up and running unless you're copying the data locally. And if you need more help, you can get with your EPLAN sales representative to ask about the available offering for consulting services for you. Now, keep in mind, as I said, since you are using VPN, it's heavily dependent on your speed of the network and the speed of your company network. So slow performance might happen if the network is not good enough. Okay. On the second scenario here, we have a network license, and then we are going to use a VPN for data and project access. Okay. This case is very much similar to the previous case. The only difference is that you don't have the license with you. You just have to maintain the VPN connection to obtain the license as well. Now, all the solutions that we talked about in point number 3, it does apply here, except that if you have synchronized the data and synchronized your SQL server and synchronize everything locally, you still have to maintain the VPN connection because you need to access the license. EPLAN cannot work without the license. If the VPN connection gets disconnected, in a few moments, EPLAN will stop and ask you to give it a license. Otherwise, it's gonna stop working. So a VPN connection is needed in this case. Of course, the other solution that we said is you disable the online translation and autocomplete. If you are suffering the slow performance, you can use the project locally by backing it up from your master data using either save additionally or file all for remote editing, and then you can restore it up once you're done. And you may also back up your SQL data and your master data locally, temporarily, to work with it locally without the need to uh, occupy the VPN bandwidth with data back and forth between EPLAN, your computer on EPLAN, your computer, and your server. Okay. So in this example, the dongle is a network license, and it doesn't matter if it's a physical dongle or virtual. It's going to be located on the company server, so you'll not face any differences in this case. The EPLAN platform is on your local computer, but the master data is going to be in the company server on the company server. Now, keep in mind, to start EPLAN, you need a license, and since you have a network license and you're working remotely, you need to start the VPN connection prior to start the EPLAN. Otherwise, EPLAN will not be able to obtain the license, and you will not be able to work on EPLAN in that case. So, what do we need to implement this setup? The company computer that you work on normally, plus you need to configure VPN. If you don't have that one set up already, you need to get with your IT department to do this configuration. And the SQL server and the data server, the EPLAN license server, or EPLAN license manager, then those should be up and running in order for you to access them. Of course, also we offer the consulting services if needed. Same thing apply if your network is not optimum, then you might face slow performance. And in that case, we will recommend to back up your data locally and do the modification to work locally, and then just keep the VPN to obtain the license. Now, you can also borrow the license. Some customers do have that option available for them. We will talk about that in next coming slides. And if that happen and you borrow the license, and then you can work completely without any connection and everything going to be locally on your computer. Okay. Now we're going to offer you some extra information. So if you are going to use a home PC and you need to configure EPLAN on your home PC, now, first and foremost, make sure that your company and your IT department will accept moving the license to your home PC. And if that's the case, and you're good to move the license to your home PC, make sure that the platform requirements are met with this PC. Now, depending on the type of license you are moving, it's a virtual or dongle, there are some steps that you need to follow. You'll have to rehost your license back to the server and then activate it again on your home PC. And these steps are explained in this link. It's eplan.help/license. One of my colleagues will paste this link for your easy access on the chat area. And well, for virtual license, you have the option to activate this license on 3 computer max per year. So make sure that if you want to do it on more than 3, then you have to rehost the license on one of those 3 to activate it again on another computer. If you have a physical dongle, then the activation depends on the type of physical dongle that you have. Some dongles accept 3 activation, some accept only 1. So if you are using more than the max limit, the limit that you have, then in that case you will need to also as well rehost the license back to the server. Please make sure that you check with your IT department before doing any of these changes. Some companies do not allow this, so please make sure that you have obtained the approval before doing any modification. Okay, so if you are doing a rehost for the license, please make sure that you are using the right rehost tool that corresponds with the license that you have, with the version that you have. So if you are using 2.8, make sure that you're using the right tool for 2.8. If you're using 2.9 or 2.9 beta, then each one of those have its own tool. And you can download those tools by going to this website. One of my colleagues now will paste this website for your easy access. This website can show you the available options that are available based on your license. Of course, you will need to use your customer number and your serial number to get to those downloads areas. I can show you a quick where to go. So here's EPLAN USA. You just have to go to support and then download. And here you'll be prompted to enter your serial number and customer ID, and then you will get all the downloads that's available for you. Okay. Borrowing a license. So if you have a network license, then the option of borrowing a license is available. Now, it's an extra module that need to be purchased. So if you have already purchased that module, then the users can borrow the license while they're online, or they can create a request file, uh, request a borrow, and this borrow can be up to 60 days. And this setting can be set in the EPLAN license manager. EPLAN license manager configurator can set up the period of time that he can request this, and maximum is 60 days. So check with your IT department if this option is available. If it's not, please get with your EPLAN sales representative to see how you can acquire this feature. Nowadays, we have a lot of offering and giving discounts to make life easier for all of our users. And of course, the details and procedure to borrow the license is available on our website that we just showed earlier, the license website, and we'll get to it in the next slide. Okay. Last but not the least, here's our website, eplan.help. In this website, you'll see there is a lot of information and a lot of help topics for you to explore. So he show you how to do installation, work with licensing, some tech tips, and some tutorials that is really helpful if you need them. Also, if you go to the licensing portal, then here you'll see all the steps that you can do for activation and network license and borrowing and so on. Borrowing a license and so on. Okay, that's it for this slide. Thank you.
We have some questions here. One of the questions we have from the user they're asking is, what version of Citrix do you need to work with EPLAN? So to be able to use EPLAN via Citrix, you need terminal server with Citrix XenApp 7.15 and the Citrix desktop application version 7.15. So to be able to use EPLAN environment in the Citrix terminal, you need Citrix desktop and XenApp version number 7.15. Another question we have here is the EPLAN license server the same thing as EPLAN license manager? So the license server is basically where it's hosting the license. So this is where you activate the license to host, and the license manager is where you manage the license of how users are using the license in your organization. So there are practically two different things. One is the license server, which hosts the license, and the license manager see the list of users. You can monitor it and see how many people are using it. You can apply restrictions on who can use, who cannot use, and other variable data here. And this information is available about the license manager and the license server on our EPLAN Quick Start page. And then the other question we have, what are the bare minimum requirements for the 3D graphics card? So for 3D graphics card, it is generally recommended to use a graphics card from ATI or NVIDIA with the latest OpenGL drivers. So that would be, let's say, comparable with a NVIDIA Quadra 600 used for in graphic intensive tasks in Pro Panel and EPLAN harness protein.
Um, if you have any questions or any concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us. We have a dedicated team to support you. Also, we are offering online training sessions starting I think next week. Um, you can join us in these training sessions. Nowadays, a lot of people will have some downtime, so why not take advantage of this downtime? Please get with your EPLAN sales representative for more details and more offering. We're offering great discounts and very flexible schedules. There are multi-session trainings, and there is a basic training and pro training. Depends on what you need and what you want to do. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and looking forward for see you again in more of our sessions and training sessions.